Hello guys, I'm so happy to see you on my channel. Look what I have. Today we're going to paint this wonderful, cheerful and playful dog. Look how smooth the coat is, how wet the nose is, and how beautiful the eyes are. We are going to use our usual colors: burnt sienna, burnt umber, maybe alizarin crimson, and maybe blue ultramarine. We'll see. And we are going to also use this wonderful paper, Arches, rough, 300 grams per square meter, 100% cotton. I have never used this paper before, so I want to give it a try, and I already gave it a try. This, so we'll see how it works for you guys. For me, it worked wonderful. I love it. I recommend it. Yeah. So I'm also going to be using the wonderful brushes that I just bought on Amazon. They were very cheap, but they had good reviews. This was the reason why I bought it. I wanted to try if they're any good. Here you go. Look at that. Look how beautiful they are. Wonderful. I love them. So I already tried them. I already made some swatches. I have a video on my YouTube. I will provide a link. And let's see how they work with a real art task. So we already have a contour drawing. You can find it under this video in the description. And let's start. Alright guys, so I transferred my drawing to the watercolor paper. Maybe it will, but not properly, or it's gonna be troubles and I don't know, tears and tragedies. So let's avoid tragedies and let's start. This is gonna be a test of this paper, which is new for me, and this is gonna be test for the my new set brushes. This is going to be a test for my new brushes that I just purchased. They are very pretty, very cheap. I have bought it on Amazon, so we are going to see how good they are. Let's start. I'm going to start with wetting my paper front and back. I'm using the huge brush that came in this set. The brush releases some sort of, I don't know, some garbage and a little bit of shedding, so we'll see how it works. I really don't have very high hopes for these brushes, since they were very cheap, and you know, good watercolor brushes are very expensive, so we'll see. So now that my paper is really wet, I'm going to wait till the water soaks in a little bit, and I'm going to start with the first layer. I'm gonna use for the first layer this brush. It's huge. Not as big as the other one, but pretty big. So since this is a test, I am soaking the brush in the water, because it is the bristles are glued together and this one is shading too. So we'll see. Once again, I have not many hopes, but we'll see. It's always good to stay optimistic, right? Okay. I still feel that there is a lot of water on my on the surface of my paper, so I'm going to use a paper towel. And I'm going to collect a little bit of surface water. I'm going to lightly swipe with a paper towel like that. My goal here is not to make the surface dry, but to just collect the amount of water that is puddles on the top of this paper. So this is a winter dog and it's pretty dark. I'm going to start with burnt sienna. I have it right here on my palette. I'm using a lot of water and a little bit of paint. Okay, I'm gonna cover the whole dog. Some areas need a little bit more darker colors, and I'm going, while the paper is still pretty wet, I'm going to add, for example, right here, a little bit on the belly. This is gonna be much darker, so I'm not afraid that I'm not precise with my drawings on this. I can see that the paint migrated a little bit outside of the contours of the dog, but I actually like it. If you guys don't like this, that means that your paper is still very wet, so the water on the paper helps pigment to migrate. And if you don't like that, just take paper towel and tap it slightly around the contours, and this will help. This is just clean. This is gonna stay forever. And just kind of clean up the edge with a clean towel, and when it becomes dirty, it means that you need to fold it different way, so you always have clean edge of this paper towel. So I'm gonna clean it right here, because right here it kind of migrated too much, but the rest I will leave as is. Alright, the first rule of a successful watercolor is if you are painting wet on wet like we do right now, it is better to add darker tones to the lighter washes. So this first wash is very light. If I try to add the same kind of value to these areas, the water in my brush will push the pigment off, and it will leave white spots, which probably will be ugly. So if the surface of your painting is still wet, we need to add more pigment. If you think that this is too light, but you feel that the paper is already kind of drying, then just leave it, and we'll come to these areas later. But right now I feel that my paper is still pretty wet, so I'm confident that I can add more and more darker values here. We always work with watercolors from lighter to the darker tones, and we dry the painting in between the layers. We can use hair dryer, or we can leave it overnight. I prefer hair dryer because I don't like 15 minutes of drawing and then overnight waiting till it dries out. So I always use hair dryer. I have specially dedicated hair dryer here in my studio just for watercolors. I think it was like 15 bucks. It works well. So okay, I am adding darker values right here where I think it's supposed to be pretty dark. The good thing about these brushes is that the end is really pointy, and we don't need, for small details, we don't need to use a lot of different brushes. Plus they have a lot of hair, and they keep this liquid for a very long time. This is the good thing about these brushes. I really like it. And this end, right now it's flat and it looks like, I don't know, maybe a hair comb or something, and it helps in fine, I don't know, fur kind of detailing. We'll use it later when the dog dries out. Paper is still nice and dry, nice and wet, and I can go ahead and add more darker values. All right. Here it's supposed to be dark. So right here I feel that the paper is dried in this little bit of the drawing, and I'm going to, I mean, I already moved the paper to the very edge of this, I already moved the paint to the very edge of this drawing, since I can now do that and it won't migrate. Okay, we're right here. I want it to be more dark. Right here. This is just burnt umber. I'm not mixing it with anything. It's just out of a tube. No, it's not a tube, it's pans, but the same idea. The more dry the paper is, the darker the strokes are. So when we start working wet on dry, we're going to work with more diluted paint. I'm not touching the eyes area right now because eyes require dry paper and really thin brush, not this one. So we're going to paint eyes much later. Right here it's already dry, but it's okay. I can add a little bit sharper textures. Honestly, I really like this brush. I hope it won't shed much. Alright, so let's add a little bit darker values to the nose, and I think I overdid it. Okay, so the top of the nose shouldn't be that dark, and when the paint dries it still will be very dark, so I leave the paint while it's still wet with just almost dry and clean paintbrush, the same that I used for the dog painting. Okay, let's see, where do we need maybe more lifting? Right here, I think. Or maybe not. I don't know. Here it's supposed to be a little softer. Alright guys, so now that my drawing is dry, let's make this tiger look like a puppy. I'm starting from the very beginning. I am making the paper wet from the both sides. I want my paper to stick to the table, to the desk that I have, and it needs to be really wet, so I'm adding more water to the surface, and I'm going to let it sit a little bit so it's nice and wet, and the paper is wet in the deeper layers of the paper, and we'll see what it looks like. I'm helping with this brush so the paper would stick to the desk better, and with that way of painting that we're using, letting dry the full surface and then make it wet again, we need 100% cotton, as I said in the very beginning, because other papers will not keep the pigment and it will just bleed. And the brush is still shedding, so I need to take the bristle off my drawing. So let's wait a little bit and then we'll start all over. Alright, so my paper is flat and it is wet enough. Water is soaked in the in paper, and let's start with the initial layers again. So now I see that my dog is very spotty. I added too many darker details to it, and now I want to soften that. So I'm using the light wash of burnt umber, and this is the old paint that I have on my palette. It doesn't look really like burnt umber, looks more like mix of burnt umber with burnt sienna, but that'll work. I tried before, and I'm going to put this layer on basically the whole dog, excluding the eyes. Working like that, I'm adding a little texture to the dog's fur, because it's not like plastic, it has hairs, fur, and I would like to show that it is like the fur is soft. This is why we like dogs, right? Because they're soft and nice to touch. So I'm trying to show that. Alright, so tiger looks still like tiger. Okay. We're gonna fix that. Alright guys, so now my drawing is dry enough. The top surface is pretty dry. It's still kind of cool to touch, but it's okay. The bottom part is wet and still flat to the on the desk. So I'm going to grab such a brush. It's pretty small, and I'm going to start adding smaller areas and smaller details to the painting. I'm working, once again, as I said before, I'm working from light to dark, and right now it's time to make a lot of areas look even darker. I'm gonna use burnt umber. My brush is a little bit too dry, so I rinse it, and I'm collecting a little bit of paint to the brush, and I am going to start right here, since this area is easy to paint. And I'm going with a little strokes that would mimic the the fur, how it grows on the ears, right here. This area is supposed to be much darker, so it's just burnt umber for now. Going, I want to see what's going on here, and it's much darker. There is shadows. Alright, so now the head looks more 3D than it looked before, but it's not enough, so we're adding some shadows right here, and something darker in this area. Then we go down here. Let's look what's going on in this. Supposed to be darker on the nose, like that. And I'm using the paper texture as a helper, mommy's little helper. Right here, right here. We'll see. I completely lost the pencil drawing, and I'm kind of imagining and making it out as I go. I'm kind of thinking where the shadows are supposed to be and what the dog's skull looks like, because this is basically a skull covered with a little bit of skin and fur. It's not much soft tissues on the dog's skull. It's a little bit like softer in these areas where the muscles that they use for moving ears are, and obviously eyes are soft tissue, and nose, and it really helps to every now and then just look at skulls and to maybe sometimes draw them, just to understand the structure of the head. So right now I am making it up. Okay, I don't want to go maybe right here for now. I just want to continue with the head. And now I think it's time to think about eyes. For eyes I need much thinner brush, smaller. I'm putting this one back, and this one too, and I have, in this set that I bought, I have, let's try such a brush. Alright, the main area of the eyes the main area of the dog's eyes is pupils. The main area of the dog's eyes is iris. Iris is the color of burnt sienna. I am putting the first layer of this iris. I want to work around the highlight, and highlight is right here somewhere. So I'm going to try to not touch it. Okay, this is too dry right now. Alright. Okay. I want this to dry maybe a little bit more, because right now this area is really wet, and I see that some of the paint bleeds into the other other areas, and I'm going to work around it, like eyelids, since the eye is a ball. The area that is covered with eyelids is supposed to be kind of roundish, and it is always nice to study, for example, your own dog. So when you just, next time when you pet your dog, just pay attention at how eyes look, how deep they are in the skull, or maybe the opposite, maybe eyes of your dog sticking out a little bit, and how the eyelids are covering that area, and how much of the eye is actually covered. So I would say that the eye is maybe that big right here, and what we see is a really very small part of an actual dog's eye. Right here is the lower lid, eyelid, that is, once again, it is covering and protecting the eye. Right here is some soft tissue, which is kind of sliding down a little bit. Right here, like bags under the eye, I would say. Making this even more dark right here. So my initial impression about these paintbrushes, I can't say that I really hate them. I actually want to say that I like them. Hopefully the shading of the bigger brushes will stop, and that might be very good and very inexpensive set to paint, like, for example, animals and animal fur, since it's a lot of sizes. Okay. Okay, what's going on right here? Should be darker and darker, and like that. I'm gonna come back to this area. Of course, the dog is only like part drawn, part finished, but right now I want to really get to the point when I think that the head looks okay. Okay, so let's go to this side, and all right, there is some dark spot right here. Too wet. That's okay. I'll fix it maybe later. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it. Okay. So now I think that the darkness of the eyelids right here and the darkness of the pupils right here is not enough. I feel like I need to use my mix of burnt umber and oh my god. Now I feel that I need to use my mix of burnt umber and blue ultramarine, and we'll go from there. So for that, let's go with this. Right here there was burnt sienna, burnt umber, and a little bit of blue, so I'm adding a little bit of umber here. Then I'm using blue, and it's gonna be it's gonna look much darker. Okay, and let's add this dark color right here and right here. Alright, and the same color we are gonna use to paint the nose. So the nostrils first. It looks a little bit too blue for me. and then I added a little bit of umber there to make it not that blue. Looks pretty much black right now. So the reason why I don't like using black, because black is flat. Black is black. You cannot do anything about it. If you dilute it with water, it will be diluted black. With the mixture of blue and brown, which is burnt umber, you can actually make it a little bit more blue, which is cooler side, or a little bit more brown, which is on the warmer side. And with the same mixture you can do all kinds of different temperature, color temperatures, which is I really like a lot. So I'm going to continue with the nose right here. Our nose is really light, very light. We need to make it much darker. I'm gonna work around the highlight, but I think my highlight is already covered with so let's say it's here. Part of this highlight is already covered, and I'm going to use later just white watercolor. This is, I think, the second wash in this area, and I just don't want to be too black. And we'll see. Right now I'm just following the hair direction right here and like everywhere. So right here it's supposed to be much more black. Some areas don't have this distinctive hair direction, so I'm just kind of making this area just big dark spots, basically, like here. Right here too. And then I'm going to come back with burnt sienna here, and I'm going to just make the whole paws darker. All of them, like where I painted, and this is supposed to be really dark. Okay, this is soft little belly. When the dog sits, the belly sometimes like make some folds, kind of looking. Flesh will look like folds, kind of here. And I'm using the, once again, the fur mimicking strokes. All right. Since this paw is on the back, it doesn't need to have like all the details in the world, and it doesn't need to be really a very distinctive, very distinctive. We are going to make these guys here more certain. Some darker areas here on the front, right here, so it doesn't look like a tiger anymore. And right here, and I think that I'm gonna add some burnt sienna to this paw, and I feel like I'm very close to the end of this illustration. Okay, so I'm painting on top of the existing layers, just to maybe to give them a little bit more kind of whole impression. I need another brush. Okay, I think I made them too dark right here. I'm gonna lift some paint. I'm gonna use this brush, just any flat brush will work. Right here, it just needs to be clean. Needs to be clean, and I'm gonna lift a little bit right here. Alright, so now I want to paint claws and highlights, and I think that's gonna be it. Right here. I'm always saying that it's gonna be it, and it's not. So alright guys, so that's it. I'm gonna stop myself. Now I am going to use Chinese white, and I'm going to add highlights. All right. It is pretty thick. Okay. Okay, I want to add a little bit more right here. Now I'm gonna remove a little. I'm gonna add, I'm gonna remove, and add and remove. Okay, it just looks too bright right here. So I'm gonna lift a little bit. All right, and the last the last thing that I'm gonna add is whiskers. The lastest last. Let's try how thin the stroke is, and let's do it. Yeah, not really thin, so I'm gonna take this away. And I'm going to try again. Okay. It's better to move to make thin and like sharp strokes. It's better to move your hand with the brush, like in the shoulder area, not like that, where you move just wrist, and not like that where you move just elbow, but the whole arm as one, starting from the shoulder, right like that. But smaller strokes, of course. If something doesn't work out, then it's easy to, while the paint is still wet, it's easy to remove it when with just a clean brush. Up. Okay. So the areas on the dark sides, they can be painted with white, like that. Yep. Alright guys, this is our final drawing. It's completely dry right now. It's not that flat as I wanted it to be, but it's easy to fix. Just wet it on the back side and put some piece of plastic and some weights on top, and it's gonna be dry in a couple days. I hope you really enjoyed this class as much as I did, and we'll see each other next time. Thank you for watching. Follow me, hit a like button. Bye bye.